Hi, welcome to She Spice. In life, the late famous Huge celebrated and made millions close by his maker and supervisor, Sha Diddy Combes, and his occasionally sweetheart rapper, Kimberly Lil Kim Jones. However, in her diary, the hip jump symbol's mother, Veda Wallace, guarantees that Diddy and Lil Kim took advantage of her child as per a passage of the book in the New York Day-to-Day News. Second, he strolled in, and they inquired as to whether he had gotten the script. He said, yes, 10:00 that morning. It was around 2:00 that midday. He came in for the meeting. I'm happy my child doesn't need to observe that the very individuals that he figured he could ride and bite the dust with wouldn't mull over utilizing his mom, Veda writes in Biggie. Veda Wallace recalls her child, Christopher Wallace, otherwise known as Famous Enormous. I am happy that he hasn't arrived to perceive how they have involved his picture and his name. Back in 2017, the late rapper's mom discussed her misery on the 20th commemoration of the hip bounce legends, uncovering that the aggravation of losing her child has never disappeared, talking only to DailyMail.com. Veda Wallace conceded she harms each and every day, realizing that she won't ever see her child from now on, and that his K is currently at enormous. And in a stunning case, the matron of hip jump uncovers that she and LAPD investigators examining the M realize who is liable for her child's passing. Yet a scheme forestalls the case from truly being tackled. This came as an In Big Deal's inward source circle uncovered that the rapper might have been the accidental objective of the shooting. Big D, Al, whose genuine name was Christopher Wallace, was gunned down without hesitating on spring 9, 1997 in a hit-and-run assault in Los Angeles, matured only 24. The succulent vocalist had before conveyed his last execution at the Spirit Train Grants, before he was K, subsequent to leaving an all-nighter at the Peterson Auto Gallery in a two-vehicle guard, followed by individual craftsman P. Diddy, who selected to go in a different vehicle. His companion could look as the Brooklyn-conceived star was hit B. I-4 shots from a driver in a Chevrolet Impala that pulled close by his GMC rural SUV, talking from her home in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. Veda held back tears as she reviewed the shooting. She said, it harms me each and every day to realize what befell Christopher and that I won't see him at any point down the road. And it's not simply me who was crushed by his sister. Tiana harms consistently in light of his misfortune. As a family, we've gathered and lamented, and it never gets any better for us, she added. Any mother who has lost a child knows the very pulverization. I feel it's the most obviously awful aggravation on the planet, and one that I wouldn't want for my most terrible foe. He was so youthful and so gifted, and his life was taken excessively soon. It's pointless that Christopher lost his life at only 24. He was my child, and I contemplate him each day with regards to the commemoration of his passing. I could do without discussing it. I realize there will be a couple of recognitions to pay tribute to Christopher, which is extraordinary. He actually recollected, yet it's extremely intense for myself as well as my family. Veda, who is a dedicated Christian, concedes she has gone to God for replies since the M anyway. However, as consoling as the congregation seems to be, it can never supplant her child. I get by utilizing religion to facilitate my aggravation, yet that is difficult. It helps a little, yet it's a long way from resurrecting. Christopher, she said, has had heaps of help from companions at chapel, and I'm grateful for that. Throughout the long term, individuals have been exceptionally good to me, and that is additionally on the grounds that Christopher was a particularly gleaming figure in their lives, too. Veda faults the LAPD for not settling the wrongdoing, and case investigators know precisely who was mindful. I have an excellent thought about who Christopher and I really accept that the LAPD know precisely who did too. She said they've done their examination, yet they simply declined to push ahead. I don't have any idea why they haven't captured who was involved. I can't help suspecting that it's one Goliath trick, and somebody is most certainly being safeguarded someplace down the line. She added that the more extended the case goes, the more inexplicable Veda, who is the executive of Big Deal's domain, realizes it's impossible. She can at any point put her child's silly K behind her. There's no conclusion for me until that M is behind bars and condemned. She said that might provide me with a sense of finality to take hold of, yet it sure will not truly bring my child back. She emphasized that Big Deal was brought into the world on May 21st, 1972. Veda, a Jamaican migrant who filled in as a preschool educator, it was an extreme beginning to life, and Big Deal was selling brake on traffic intersections by age 12, landing him with a long rap sheet and a stretch in prison at age 17. Yet in the last part of the 1980 era, as the disturbed high schooler who got a kick out of the chance to rap as a sideline to managing drugs, stumbled upon the opportunity of a lifetime at 6'3" in and almost 400 lb. He utilized the fitting stage name Big Deal Smalls after Calv, in Lockhart's Criminal Person. In the 1975 film, we should rehash it. One of his mixtapes was shipped off a manager at Hip Bounce magazine. The source and Big Deal was before long endorsed by Sean Puffy. Searches then working for Uptown Keeps in September 1994. Big Deal delivered his presentation collection, prepared to pass on under Diddy's recently shaped Awful Kid Records, supported with hits like Succulent and Enormous Daddy. The record went platinum, selling 4 million duplicates, and the youthful hip. Bounce Craftsman turned into an undeniable star. The collection procured a few honors, including Board's Rap Craftsman of the Year and Rap Single of the Year. By then, he had dropped his unique name instead of the infamous Enormous after Lockhart sued him over Biggie Smalls. The rapper's profession went from solidarity to strength, and he supported a few different specialists in any event, working with Michael Jackson on his 1995 collection History. By the end of 1995, Big Deal was one of Hip Jump's two, P of the line, and generally pursued entertainers. He was hitched to R&B vocalist Confidence Evans, and they had a child, Christopher C.J. Wallace Jr. In 1996, Big Deal previously had a 3-year-old little girl named Tiana with one more lady. Speculations around the giving now of a piece of hip jump legend have reappeared in some structure throughout the years as columnists and fans endeavored to handle the case. However, a source who was with Biggie, the night he passed on, he was persuaded the shots were intended for Diddy, not him. The source says he accepts the slugs were intended for Diddy. Also known as Sha Combes as a Vengeance K, a half year after Big Deal's rap rival Tupac Shakur was likewise gunned down. The case that Diddy was some way or another connected to Shakur's M in Las Vegas on September 7, 1996, has for some time been supposed in hip-hop circles. A couple of years ago, it arose that the vehicle where Big Deal was M is currently being sold by memorabilia vendor Minutes in Time for a faltering $1.5 million as per TMZ. It was at first gotten by a lady in a bartering in 1997 who had no clue about how well known the vehicle was. The traveler's entryway was obviously supplanted after cops took it out during their examination. Amusingly, the two rappers are as yet contending after death. Around a similar time, Big Deal's last ride was declared available to be purchased. The BMW that Tupac was riding in when he was shot dead likewise went discounted for $1.5 million. Diddy's contribution to Big Deal's end isn't disappearing at any point in the near future, and that is the reason Miss Veda accepts a ton is being hidden where no one will think to look a lot to her bemusement. In mid-2016, a narrative was delivered charging Diddy was behind Tupac's M and likewise Biggie's. The Los Angeles Police Division figured out how to tackle the M of the two rappers, as indicated by a narrative highlighting resigned LAPD criminal investigator Greg Kading, who once drove a unique team that examined those multi-decade-old shootings in light of his 3 years working on the cases. Kading claims that Sha Diddy recruited Crips gangster Dwayne Keith Key D. Davis to K. Shakur and his supervisor Marion Hugh Shug Knight for $1 million. He claims that the evening of September 7, 1996, Key D's nephew Orlando Child Path Anderson pulled the trigger. Just stunner was K-cading charges that in the counter near recruited Bloods gangster Wardell Puy to K Biggie Smalls for $113,000. Biggie Smalls was shot to death on April 9, 1997, only a half year after Shakur passed on. Throughout the span of examining, Kading says that he basically caught Key D in a circumstance where he needed to give a certain admission about the occasions that prompted Shakur's M, or, in all likelihood, face extreme charges for one more wrongdoing, assuming his goal was to pull off it. So to talk, Kading uncovered that it would have been exceptionally simple for him not to incorporate every one of the subtleties that he did. These additional subtleties, as indicated by the narrative, incorporate the charge that Diddy employed Key D for the wrongdoing. The narrative named M-Rap initially debuted in 2015 in light of Lord's 2011 book, which is a similar name. It's accessible on iTunes and Netflix. Fast, you know it's nothing. The LAPD appointed Kading to reinvestigate the rappers in 2006, not long after Biggie Little's mom, Veda Wallace, sued the division in government court. Valletta's unjust passing claim focused on the famous paranoid notion that the police concealed an official's contribution to her child's M. The common suit assessed misfortunes at $500 million in view of Biggie Little's procuring potential. It was Kading's errand to discredit the hypothesis placed in the suit alongside numerous others whirling around Kading claims that once his group tracked down sufficient proof to absolve the LAPD, the reinvestigation of the M was basically dropped. In 2009, the division took Kading off the team because of an internal issues examination on a different matter. However, he was at last. Subscribe She Spice for more videos.